Hey. All right. So, y'all know my name is Deanna. I am an insurance agent and an entrepreneur out here in the state of Georgia. Um, and I'm also licensed in some other states, but we could talk about that at a separate time. Um, I got a revelation from the Lord, and I want to share that with you guys. Let me first ask, are you guys in your Bible? Do y'all read the Bible? And I mean, actually read the Bible, because there are so many gems in the Bible that can help you for your life today. I love the Bible. It's like, man, it's amazing. I get excited about the Bible. And I want to share a revelation that I received today. The title that I put in the live, it says, Use What You Got. Now, the Holy Spirit has been prompting me to read a story in the Bible that I heard preachers preach it and preach about it quite a few times. And I've read it, like, you know how you kind of like read through something, you skim through it because you think you're so familiar with it that you just read the words. But it was pressing upon me to like go back and read the story. And I'm going to share that story with you guys today and share what was revealed to me. So I got my Bible here. So if I'm looking down, I'm reading my Bible. But this is coming from 2 Kings chapter 4. And we're going to start at verse 1. It says, One day the widow of a member of a group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out, My husband who served you is dead. You know how he feared the Lord. But now a creditor has come, threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves. What can I do to help you? Elisha asked. Tell me, what do you have in your house? Nothing at all except a flask of olive oil, she replied. And Elisha said, Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors. Then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it is filled. So she did what she was told. Her sons kept bringing the jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon, every container was filled to the brim. Bring me another jar, she said to one of her sons. There aren't any more, he told her. And then the olive oil stopped flowing. When she told the man of God what had happened, he said to her, Now sell the olive oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left over. Okay, so again, like I had said, I have heard this story preached to me from the pulpit so many times. But in my prayer time and in my quiet time, it was pressing upon me to read this story. And I'm going to share with you the revelation that I got. So the story is this woman's husband had passed away and had left her and her sons in debt. And they were coming to collect her sons. So she went to the man that her husband was working for, who was a prophet of God, Elisha. And she's like, yo, help me. Have anybody ever been in a dire need situation? I know I have. And I have gone to people and I'm like, hey, help me. I've gone to the church. I've gone to other people and people have helped, right? And so this woman was in a dire need situation. She's in debt. They're talking about taking her sons as slaves because she doesn't have any money to pay for anything, and to clean up the debt that her husband left. Sidebar, you know I'm an insurance agent. Husbands, don't be leaving your family in debt. Don't be leaving your family in debt. Isn't it interesting how this man, her husband, was a man of God, but he was still in bondage financially, and he did not leave an inheritance for his children? That could be fixed in this current day with one life insurance policy. So y'all know how to get in contact with me about that. But anyway, I digress. And so she went to the prophet, and the prophet is like, hey, what do you have of value? I believe he asked that question to her because he wanted to test and see if she could recognize what she had of value, or was she succumbing to her current situation? What was her mindset? Did she believe she had something of value? She could have said no. She could have said, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I believe because she gave the right answer, because she gave the right answer, she was able to recognize something of value. And then the prophet was able to tell her the next step. So the prophet told her, he said, hey, you have the oil, because she said, all I have is olive oil. And back in biblical times, olive oil was worth a lot of money. So she's like, I have this small flask of olive oil. And so the prophet goes and he tells her, go borrow a lot of jars from your friends and your neighbors. So the second revelation that I got from that is she took out a business loan. And she had to overcome so many fears, like I'm imagining being in this woman's shoes. She's in debt. They're talking about taking her sons. And the prophet is telling her to go borrow something, like go borrow some more. He didn't even give her the next step. He was like, go borrow these jars, like borrow from your neighbors, your friends. And so I'm imagining her going to people that are probably talking about her, because her husband was a prophet of God. He was a high esteemed person, if you will. But now he's gone and he left her in a dire need situation. And so I'm imagining maybe she's feeling a little bit insecure. Maybe she's feeling a little bit ashamed, right? And so she was faced with a decision, a choice. Either she could go borrow these jars, or she could go and be like, for what? Like, why am I doing this? You're wanting me to go to my peers to go borrow some jars? Like, where you're at with this, prophet? What are you doing? But I believe because she was obedient, she activated the supernatural of God. And what do I mean by that? She went to borrow the jars. This required her to be in more debt, because it wasn't like he said, ask them to give you. He said borrow, which implies she has to pay that back. She has to give that back. I believe that because she decided to borrow these jars, she activated the supernatural in God. And where do we see the supernatural of God? We see here, as I continue reading, that she was able to fill all the jars up with olive oil. Remember, in the beginning, she said, all I have is a little flask of olive oil. And so the prophet told her, go borrow these jars. Don't just borrow a little bit, borrow a lot from your neighbors and your friends. And because she took that step out on faith, God activated his super to the natural and multiplied that oil. He multiplied that oil. What has God told you to do? And you're looking at your current situation and you're like, Lord, I don't have this. Lord, I don't have enough. Lord, I don't have. Is it possible that the Lord may be waiting on you so he can add his super to your natural? Is it possible that he's waiting on you to take that first step? See, she had to take multiple steps. Number one, she had to recognize what she had of value. The second thing is she had to get uncomfortable and ask people to basically support and fund what it is that she was trying to do. And because she took those steps out on faith, God added his super to her natural and multiplied the oil. Because he multiplied the oil, and God is an amazing God, he's not limited. He took what she had and multiplied it, and she was able to pay off the debts, pay off what she borrowed. And the prophet told her, now go and you and your sons live off the rest. which means she was in such an abundant state after being obedient and taking those steps that her and her sons could go live off the rest of it. And so that was 2 Kings chapter 4, and that's like verse 1 through 7. My question to you today is, what do you got that you can use to put you in that abundant state? Are you using what you have? Are you using what you got? When I was in the world, I watched this movie I will not name, but you guys probably heard this phrase. You got to use what you got to get what you want. You get my point. What do you have? What is, it's already in you, you guys. It is already in you. When Jesus Christ died on that cross, he said it is finished. That means he has completed every assignment that he needed to complete. It is here. It is done. It is in us. A lot of times we are waiting for opportunities, especially when we're in a dire need situation. I don't know any situation that's worse than getting your children snatched away. And we tend to look at the things that are on the outside of us, but we forget that God has already placed everything we need inside of us. It's in us. It is in us. And so I want that to encourage you today to know that, number one, take inventory of what you have of value. What makes you valuable? Number two, get uncomfortable. Okay, I'm back. Number two, get uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone so you can get to that next level. A lot of times you have to step out of that comfort zone to get to that next level. But I believe that woman, she was in such a dire need. She was just willing to do whatever it takes. Sometimes you guys are not willing to do whatever it takes. So are you willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means getting uncomfortable? The Bible says that it takes faith to please God. So maybe it's in that uncomfortable state that you're moving out on faith, that activates the super to be applied to your natural work. It's already in you. So I got super excited reading that. I had to take inventory in my life and realize, hey, it is in me. What do I have? I have this insurance license. What do I have? I have this platform. I can use what I have to go to the next level. So I want to encourage you guys today. If you're in a dire need situation, maybe like that woman in the Bible that I was just reading about, and you don't see your way out of it, take inventory of what you have of value. What you have of value, and also what makes you valuable. And then be willing to get uncomfortable. Take a step out on faith. And the moment you take a step out on faith, even though it may be embarrassing and it may be hard, start to look for things of God adding his super to your natural. And watch God multiply what has already been in you all this time. So I want to share that with you guys. I do have my ebook. It is here. The ebook is free. Again, I am putting the link up so you'll be able to put your email in and I will be able to send you the ebook. The ebook is free until the 21st. It's a very good book. If you want to know how to get into the insurance industry, I lay out some very good detailed steps. It's a guideline to help you get into the insurance industry and win. And so I will be sending that out to those of you who put your email in my form. And I will be talking to you guys in another video. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.